Well, hello dear viewers and welcome to Level Up Reviews. Today we end mainline Ultima games with Ultima 9, the Ascension. Let's jam! Last time I reviewed Ultima 8, Pagan, which turned out to be a terrible failure. But Origin did not abandon the game. They tried to fix it. In fact, they remade Ultima 8 with additional content, and even developed an expansion for it, The Lost Veil. The game was finished and ready to ship out, but EA had no interest in this. They just looked at Ultima 8's sales and decided not to release it. Origin's hard work was completely wasted. So Richard started to develop Ultima 9, the Ascension. He even promised the fans that he would go back to the roots of the game and make sure that Ultima 9 would be true to older Ultima games. First, Ultima 9 started developing on an improved Ultima 8 engine. Unfortunately for Richard, EA did not believe in Ultima, and people were fired under him or switched to a different project. Basically, Origin barely had the staff members to keep the game alive. Not to mention, the engine was limiting, so the game was abandoned. Richard started to redevelop the game from the scratch. He invited his childhood friend, Robert White, to write for this game. This time around, the game would be much darker. This would not be just End of Guardians trilogy, but, and I quote, the whole Avatar business. Conclusion of the collaboration was that Britannia must be destroyed. Next Ultima would take place in completely new world. Honestly, this is a great idea, really refreshes the series, and I always wished to see more worlds which Richard Garriott's brilliant mind could come up with. 3D animations were even made based on Robert White's story in 1996. The game would bring back companions. Side quests would not just be meaningless fetch quests, but they would actually affect the main story. Although development was not without its own issues. Too many companions lagged the game, so they did have technical issues to fix. But, in all honesty, this was a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you look at it, Ultima Online came on the scene. Most of the staff members were moved to work on it. It almost looked like it was over for Ultima 9. But there was one man that still believed in this game. Enter Mike Mashafri, who tried to convince EA to renew the game, this time with 3D graphic acceleration card, although he wanted to take the game in new direction. EA did renew it, but unfortunately, Mashafri had already left the company. This is really sad, because he really believed in Ultima 9, and it crushed him that he would not take part in the development of this game. Now Origin had to redesign and redevelop the game. Since Richard was busy with other projects, Ed Del Castello took over. He immediately examined the game and realized it was a mess filled with bugs. So he decided to start the game from the scratch. Unfortunately, again, EA refused. So Del Castello tried to make best out of a bad situation. He changed the story. Whole Avatar and Guardian being two sides of the same coin comes in here. Development staff hated Del Castello's decisions, feeling that he was oversimplifying the game, thinking that he was going on ego trip, not seeing the pressure he was under from EA. Some people even left EA to stop Ultima 9 from finishing. Now that is dedication. When the trailer of the game came out, however, the fans spoke. Hundreds of dissatisfied letters arrived at EA headquarters. so Del Castello decided to resign. Richard Garriott took over once more, to personally make sure that his game would come out how it was supposed to be. The plot was redone and they planned to redo much more, but EA as usual threw in a curveball. The game had to be finished by Christmas of 1999. And, oh yes, of course, the stuff was cut. The most of them were sent to develop Ultima Online 2. You know, there was a rumor that EA did all this to sabotage Richard Garriott. It would give them the reason to fire him. I do not know how true this is, but it sure looks like this. So, to save development time, NPCs doing daily work was cut out from the game. Companions were cut out, everything extra was cut out, and finally, voices had to be re-recorded in a rush because of all the plot changes. So you could imagine what came out after 5 years of development mess that was Ultima 9. If you're interested in more information about the development of this game, there is a book, Through the Moon Gates. This is not a commercial, but it did help me quite a lot in my research, so I would definitely recommend it. Game did manage to come out on November 23, 1999. This game had truly mixed receptions. Best example would be that PC Gamer USA nominated the game for the Best RPG Game Award of 1999. GameSpot, on the other hand, gave it Most Disappointing Game of the Year. What was not arguable, however, were the sales, selling only 75,000 copies in USA by August of 2000. The music, as always, remains undeniably good. I mean, at least one thing is good, you can't really argue against it. It's composed by George Oldziej. As far as design goes, it could have been better. On the second thought, I do not know if it could have been better, as much of a mess as development of this game was. I guess it is passable, and it's colorful enough. It has a really good contrast to Ultima 8, which was such a dark game. Scott Jones is an artist. I do have to point out that Denis Loubet's cover art, as always, remains beautiful. Ultima 9 has one of my favorite cover arts. Ultima 9 itself is, well, I have to be honest with you, it's not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. I mean, it has a lot of problems, with glitches and crashes, completely rewrites Ultima series, and I would say it's more of an adventure game which has, well, pretty good flow to it. The start of this game completely changes the storyline. You start at the Avatar's house. I guess this is done here for the tutorial, but you could have done tutorial in Britannia. I don't really see why they had to start in the Avatar's house. I have to say, I do like Avatar's house. It's filled with a lot of references, really nostalgic stuff, especially if you're waiting for the game for 5 years. You even get the tarot card reading thing to pick your class. The game it was supposed to be shines through once in a while. And yes, the game is fully voiced, but as I said, actors were rushed, so voice acting is not great, honestly. From there, you travel to Britannia, where you see the original ending sequence from Ultima 8. A dragon appears and tries to burn you, but Time Lord of course saves you. After which, we see Guardian in his throne room talking with Blackthorn, which leads to this really cool opening sequence which I really love. I do not know why Blackthorn is here, or evil, when he got redeemed in Serpent Isles. Maybe he was just lying? I don't know. What a disappointment. Time Lord transports you into this mini dungeon, which kinda gives you a tutorial of what dungeons are like. Also, you get somewhat of a magic tutorial as well. Casting the spells is okay, I guess. But you also have to bind spells to spellbooks. This seems unnecessary, really. You bind spells to spellbooks using scrolls and reagents, needing only mana to cast them. I was also wondering who built all the statues of the Shadow Lords. Blackthorn? I mean, he was controlled by them. It's just weird. There is also a fight with a Worm Guard, who are dragon-riding servants of the Guardian. But they never really ride dragons in this game. Battle system, well, it's same as usual. It's just like Ultima 8, you press a button to attack. There are some differences with different weapons, but really nothing spectacular. Basically, Britannia is corrupted. Each city has people acting opposite to the virtue city is dedicated to. Giant columns erupt and corrupt the shrines. Basically, you will need to go to the dungeon, clear it out to find a corrupted glyph. You will also need to find sigil to each virtue. Then put them on the destroyed shrine and chant mantra, which will restore the shrine. Oh, and each glyph is guarded by the Worm Guard. Most of them are your companions, corrupted by the Guardian. I have to say, what I enjoyed most in these games is meeting my companions in 3D. Lord British is of course in Britannia. On the road to Deceit, you meet Gweno. So at first glance, it does look like the game is really going back to its roots. I mean, cleansing shrines and reciting mantra, isn't this what whole Avatar thing is about? But game itself has a poorly chosen dialogue, which caused the die-hard fans of this game to hate it. Museum of the Avatar and Tapestry of Ages are one of those examples. Filled with glaring inconsistencies, Tapestry even spoils the end of this game, so do not complain about me spoiling anything. Hate is completely understandable. It also breaks my heart that there is no Chuckles or Sherry or Smith the Talking Horse. There is a reference to Smith by a woman named Cleo in the dungeon Wrong. She is accused of killing all the horses, but really I do not want reference to Smith. I want Smith. After clearing the first dungeon, you also meet a woman named Raven. She is a pirate who invites you to Buccaneer's Den to meet pirate captain Sam Hain. He wants to talk to you apparently. Buccaneer's Den is really different. No casino here anymore, although there is brothel still present here. If you can call it a brothel, there is just one woman in a single room. I mean, come on. Wow, Gweno must have fallen on the hard times. Sam Hain somehow got hold of the Codex of Ultimate Wisdom, which functions very differently now. You need to use lenses to read the script, not to see in the void where Codex was sent. Sam Hain wants you to stop the storms in exchange for Codex. To do this, you need to cleanse the Shrine of Humility. Why bother calling me? I would have done this anyway. Basically, you need to go to New Magencia, where you meet one of your older companions, Katharina the Shepherd, and see destroyed New Magencia. What's next? New Magencia? All of this sends you to Gargoyle City of Ambrosia. And again, Avatar is getting called a false prophet. This is weird, since this was disproved in Ultima 6. But don't worry, you do take part in destruction of the Gargoyle race. Wonderful. Saving only Gargoyle Queen's egg. Somehow, I do not really remember a Gargoyle Queen. I remember Lord Draxanimus. Where is he, by the way? After arriving to Sam Hain, you are betrayed and given to Blackthorn. He takes you to Dungeon Deceit, which is one of my favorite dungeons. I do like dungeons here, I'm not gonna lie. Lot of fun puzzles. Quite frankly, I enjoy puzzles. After you clear out the dungeon, you meet Raven, who is there to help you escape. There's also a romance subplot between Avatar and her. I guess it works, I was never really invested into it, to be perfectly honest with you. There are a couple of quests that really stand out. Trinsic one, which stands out for all the wrong reasons. Sir Dupree's ghost somehow appears here. He's supposed to be bound into a great serpent of chaos, so it should not be possible to summon his spirit. Also the Scarab Bray quest, where Shamino is stuck in the spirit world. It's really fun to help the lost souls to find their way. But there are two things. First, it says that Scarab Bray resisted corruption. So why is the shrine corrupted? And second, last time somebody jumped into the Well of Souls, it actually exploded. So how come you don't explode? You also get to summon Malchior from Pagan, who teaches you how to summon Pyros. Again, I have summoned him before, and all of the powers of Pyros were absorbed by Avatar, so what is the point of summoning Pyros? You're gonna have to use this ritual to open up the Abyss, and here I thought you needed Mundane Skull. Abyss is a fun place. You go through air, fire, earth, and water levels. Finally, finding British and Blackthorn having a showdown. British easily wins. You find out that Guardian is trying to crush the moons onto Britannia. So Lord British temporarily realigns moons to open the moon gates to cleanse Shrine of Spirituality. After doing so, this somehow revives Dupree. This is ridiculous. This has nothing to do with Dupree's death. I'm gonna have to say though, I do love one thing. Lord British's castle is filled with your companions ready to say goodbye. This is very touching. This truly feels like a goodbye to an old friend. Finally, you assault the Guardian's castle, casting a barrier around him and you, and cast Armageddon spell, destroying both Guardian and yourself, after which Avatar ascends to a higher plane.
Goodbye, Avatar.
Goodbye, dear friend.
You're an inspiration to all Britannians, Avatar.
Farewell, my friend. Thank you for all that you've done.
If I have to cross worlds to come to your aid, I will.
Farewell.
Goodbye.
Farewell, old friend.
Most people just trash Ultima 9, or straight out dismiss it. For me though, this is a very sad story. So many people believed in this game and tried their best to deliver a decent end for this long-standing franchise. I cannot hate it at all. This is why I tried to go easy on the game. So much effort was just smashed by EA. So many developers fought so hard and even lost their jobs, sometimes even willingly because of this game. Richard Garriott even risked losing Origin Systems, and lost it, because he wanted to finish what he started. Or, as Paul Nura said, this was more than just a game for Richard. I will say this, even though Ultima 9 is not a good game, I can certainly appreciate all this effort that was put in there. I just cannot help but cheer for the underdog. This game pretty much finished Richard Garriott's and Origin Systems story. But even though Origin is gone, it has ascended as a video gaming legend, which will never be forgotten. But sometimes, just sometimes, Ascendant must come down to grace us mere mortals. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment. Thank you very much.